In today's video,
Starting next year, all new cars will have a built-in AI tracking system.
The evil people in power use blind faith and religion as a tool to subdue the thoughtless masses.
At Golgotha, the place where the crucifixion happened, it's called Place of the Skull because that's where Adam's head is buried.
The way I look at all this reptilian presence is just like I've read in the Bible.
Are you familiar with the Lacerda files?
They'll actually go backwards in time. They can do this psychically, occupy like a bum who's drunk and passed out in a haystack, get him to wake up and go kill somebody, and then the whole timeline you're on changes, and the only person who remembers the old timeline is the one who jumped into the bum.
you're talking about. Can I do the video like this? I wear my sunglasses at night. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back, and I hope every single one of you are doing well. It's about to get weird. You know what? We have got some very exclusive and unseen footage in today's video. You don't want to go anywhere.
There are two ways in which people are controlled. First of all, frighten people, and secondly, demoralize them. An educated, healthy, and confident nation is harder to govern. And I think there's an element in the thinking of some people. We don't want people to be educated, healthy, and confident because they will get out of control. The top 1% of the world's population own 80% of the world's wealth. It's incredible that people put up with it. But they're poor, they're demoralized, they're frightened, and therefore they think perhaps the safest thing to do is take orders and hope for the best.
What he said there is bang on the money. People are sitting there taking orders and just hoping for the best. Poor, we're demoralized, and we're frightened. Oh my God, he is hitting nails on the head. That's exactly the cycle that they're keeping us in, isn't it? Oh yeah.
Starting next year, all new cars will have a built-in AI tracking system. They're claiming it's just for our safety in case of drunk driving, but it's not. The AI can remotely slow your car down, stop you from starting it, and even report you to the authorities. Total invasion of privacy. Now here's the trick. Because all these crooks work together, the insurance companies will require it to insure you, and if you don't have it installed in your car, you'll have to pay a premium. And this is real. It's section 24220 of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, and the people never had a say in it. This is a case for collective non-compliance. If we don't want to be surveilled
Straight up dictatorship.
by Big Brother, we just need to be honest with our guy at the car dealership. Yeah, I like the new model, but unless this feature is removed, I'm not buying it.
According to the Akashic Records, the story of Adam and Eve as the only two humans on Earth is a symbolic teaching, not a literal historical account. It was never meant to describe biological lineage in the modern scientific sense, but rather to encode a deeper spiritual message about human consciousness, polarity, and the birth of duality on Earth. Let's break it down. Were Adam and Eve the only humans? No, not in the literal sense. The Akashic perspective shows that many souls were incarnating during early Earth epochs, but the Adam and Eve story focuses on a specific soul pair, archetypal beings who volunteered to experience the full descent into polarity consciousness. They represent the first to fall into full separation, self-awareness, and karmic memory. Other human-like beings existed on the planet at the time. Some descended from different soul templates or star-seeded lineages, like Lemurian, Atlantean, or Anunnaki hybrids. Adam and Eve's story is one timeline, not the origin of all flesh. What about their children? The children of Adam and Eve, including Cain and Seth, Abel having been slain, are symbolic of branches of consciousness, not just literal children. When texts say Cain found a wife in another land, that implies other tribes or beings were already present, meaning human life was not limited to a single family. This also means that the notion of incest as the only way to populate the earth is based on a misreading of metaphor. The story wasn't about biology. It was about how the soul, when split into masculine and feminine polarity, began to multiply experiences, relationships, and karmic entanglements across timelines. So what's the real message? The deeper Akashic truth is this. Adam and Eve represent the first human souls to embody the illusion of separation. Their offspring are energetic patterns of consciousness like duality, ego, violence, and spiritual longing. Humanity as a species did not begin with them, but their choices rippled through the collective field, shaping the trajectory of Earth's spiritual evolution. So no, all of humanity is not descended from incest. The Earth was already populated with various beings, soul groups, and lineages when Adam and Eve's story unfolded. The garden myth is a cosmic parable, a mirror for our own inner exile and the path home.
I mean, that is a very interesting perspective right there, and I need your thoughts on that. Comment down below and let me know. All right, so something strange is actually happening in California. Ridiculous amounts of documented GEO engineering, fog for a week, and now floods.
Did you guys hear they just announced that the air quality in California is officially unhealthy after its parts per million of particulate matter reached a certain threshold that now they're suggesting you stay indoors and close your windows? And if you're elderly or young or have any lung thing going on, you should not be outside. Now, the strange thing about this, and someone correct me in the comments, but they're saying it's a totally natural fog because of winter and the temperature change in the ground versus the air and all that. But then why would it be like toxic? I guess that's because the particulates that are coming off the cities anyway and all the pollution in general, but is staying in place as opposed to, dissipating. But this is a big deal, man. They're warning people. And apparently, according to this guy, it says, Gerald DePalta told Daily Mail that he and his family have been coughing and experiencing congestion for a week. Like, people aren't feeling well. This reminds me of when it was smoky as hell when I was in Edmonton and there was a crazy wildfire. But this isn't wildfire smoke. Yeah, okay. During these fog events, temperature inversions can trap car exhaust and industrial pollutants near the ground, potentially worsening air quality and causing respiratory irritation. Now, I do wonder if any of this foggy stuff is coming from other places, but I cannot confirm. Now, this guy wiped his car with his finger and it had a white dust. And what they say is natural radiation fog, which is not nuclear radiation. It's the radiation they're saying with the temperature change between the ground and the air during winter, is not known to leave a white residue, as it simply is a cloud at ground level consisting of millions of tiny pure water droplets. I'm not so sure it's too pure. That evaporate as the sun warms the air, but it hasn't evaporated. This is the weird thing. The residue could be due to dust, pollution, smoke, or chemical particles suspended in the air.
Hear that last bit? Poof. Chemical particles being sprayed in the air. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's dive into this one. Portals are open through sound frequencies. What are we talking about? When two chords resonate in octaves, they create a phantom beat or a resonant energy that can open portals.
There, I'm going to stop it before anything happens. Up here, I also have another tone generator set to 525, and I'm about to show you what will happen with that. Things happen much quicker when you're using pure tones rather than the other stuff I was using on YouTube, which had like sounds mixed in with it. There we go, 528. And already you can see a much more stable fracture. Okay, I have to do this quick because this stuff does not last. 525, you can see there's a whole range of tones here, but 525, you're going to hear, probably hear the fluctuation there. There we go.
What the hell is happening here? Hold on, a portal to where?
If you don't know where that is, I do.
Where is it?
Is in Sedona. And it is a well-known vortex phenomenon. There's several of them there, and you are witnessing
Honestly, I don't know what a portal's supposed to look like in real time. You know, we only see it in the movies. This looks like it's from the movies, but if that's what it's supposed to look like, then is this real?
The evil people in power use blind faith and religion as a tool to subdue the thoughtless masses. Christianity violently destroyed and hid the truth so that most people wouldn't have access to the spiritual teachings of mental alchemy. It was a bid for control and was far from a holy mission. The teachings of Yeshua were corrupted, and the knowledge of divine principles was labeled as witchcraft and heresy, striking fear into anyone who dared to practice the mystery traditions. Yeshua was an Essene. He taught about Christ's consciousness and spiritual resurrection, not literal death and rebirth. He wasn't killed on a cross. He didn't want to be worshipped. He wanted to teach others to look inward so that they could connect with the kingdom of God and realize their true nature. This is why the church hid the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which outlines Yeshua's true teachings, something that his apostles struggled to grasp. Mary Magdalene wasn't the virgin mother of Jesus. She was his wife. There is also no evidence whatsoever that Mary was a prostitute. This narrative was pushed by the church to diminish her importance due to the jealousy of his apostles, especially Paul. Most of the current stories of Jesus and the Bible have been rewritten and corrupted to match the stories of Horus from Egypt. Religion veers people off the path to true enlightenment and ascension after death because it teaches them that God is outside of themselves and he's the only one who can save them. It's a concerted effort to keep people stuck in spiritual bankruptcy, outsourcing their power to authority figures and waiting for someone else to save them. It functions in the same way as government propaganda, keeping the masses subdued and docile, never questioning the deeper meanings of life because of their blind faith and obedience. The reality is that you have to do the deep spiritual work inside of yourself to integrate God into your life and reach what they call heaven. You don't get to heaven through faith and trust in God alone. You get there through hard work and the acquisition of knowledge while you're here on earth. You don't just hand your problems to God and expect someone else to solve them. You cultivate the power to solve them yourself.
Fact.
Your unyielding loyalty to religion is being used by evil forces to keep you from your true power and the nature of reality.
You know what? It's so hard to disagree with what she is saying there.
At Golgotha, the place where the crucifixion happened, it's called Place of the Skull because that's where Adam's head is buried. It's kind of in the same area where Abraham almost sacrifices Isaac. And the cross, when in any artistic depiction, at the foot of the cross, underneath it is the skull, representing the skull of Adam. So it's interesting.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's the skull of Adam.
At Golgotha, the place where the crucifixion happened, it's called Place of the Skull because that's where Adam's head is.
When you actually think about it and you hear the stories about certain things, it's like, it sounds more demonic than what you're trying to make us believe, you know, like, what are we talking about?
A giant dragon, dragon, found on Google Earth in Taiwan. This stuff is just so crazy that all over the earth we have these amazing finds, and none of these scientists even want to talk about it, right? They push this dinosaur and this used to be bird nonsense. Meanwhile, we have these giant fossils of these dragons just all over the earth. I've seen so many just myself. These are just the spines. You know, you've seen the pictures and everything of dragons. They're based on a real thing. Even Columbus saw them, you know, when he discovered, quotations, America. Look at that.
I mean, over in Asia, they're obsessed with dragons, aren't they? Especially the Chinese, the Japanese. But over here in the Western world, no, it's not dragons. We've never heard of dragons before, but we do know dinosaurs. Gotta think, I know things do go extinct, but a dragon going extinct? Big, powerful dragons, fire-breathing dragons going extinct. I mean, no little human could have taken it out of the sky. The only way they would have went extinct, in my opinion, environmental factors, isn't it? Weather conditions. But still, like, you're talking about. Imagine I've just had a power cut, like literally the whole estate lost electric. Imagine recording this type of content, ladies and gentlemen, and everything just went black. I'm not even gonna lie, I was shitting myself. I thought the aliens had come to attack.
If people had paid attention to what I said, I used the word speculative, informed speculation. And so when people think of reptilians, they think of lizards. No, they're not lizards. They're people with reptilian ancestry that may look quite human to us. And they may have had some development into humanity. There may have been many non-human races, speculative again, that helped us evolve outside of natural evolution. Otherwise, we will still be living like our primate cousins right now. We developed at the same time as mammals, as primate mammals. Why were we accelerated? And so that might have had some influence beyond natural evolution.
This is the story that we hear over and over again, and we're hearing it from various different perspectives. We're hearing it from various different cultures, various different people that have gone out of their way to do thorough research to understand where we come from. And a lot of people are coming up with the same story. We were seeded by aliens.
So when I put forth that slide, again, going back to like, how is the world really structured? How is it actually ordered? I wanted to convey the idea that what we consider as humans, you and I and everyone listening and watching right now or in the future, that we may have had some advancement from other beings, one of them being these reptilian beings who are not in any way like lizard people. Some people see lizard people in their encounters, but they may have been beings that have been here a long time. And so it's interesting, though, that when I look at some of the official logos launched by the National Reconnaissance Office, which is the actual secret space program of the United States intelligence community, they launched secret spacecraft in orbit. I can say that much, that they use these lizards as part of the logos. And I found that to be really strange. And they're...
It's not just them. A lot of the major corporations and organizations around the world love to use lizards. Literally, the moment you enter central London, are entering the dragon. There are lizard-looking dragon statues. The moment you enter central London, Liverpool Street, these dragon reptile statues wearing England shields. Why is that? Who thought of that idea? Who said, you know what? It would be great to put dragons around the central London area. So when you enter the dragon. It can't have just been someone's imagination just making it up and said, yeah, we'll run with it. Yeah, we'll run with that idea. That sounds like a good idea.
The way I look at all this reptilian presence is just like I've read in the Bible. For some reason, I feel like this whole experience I've had in my life actually increased my faith in the Bible and God. Because even in the Bible, it mentions the serpents, and that Lucifer being the head of that genre or species did cause the fall of mankind and all this other good stuff. So to me, I feel like I just got experience with the reality of the fact that these things exist. And even though they try to keep it all hidden, that I got exposed to the program where
Hold on, what was he going to say there? He got exposed to the program where what?
Are you familiar with the Lacerda files? This interview that happened in like the early 2000s, allegedly in Sweden, between a man and a woman who, you know, claims to be reptilian.
Yeah, I've come across that, yeah.
Yeah, and so she, I mean, there's a lot of information there, and it's quite interesting because as you gather a lot of this information, it seems to corroborate like what she's been saying, which is, you know, just interesting data points. But she does talk about having like, you know, this control system, that they're working with governments, so not unlike what you've been talking about as well, but also that there are these like colonies underneath like Asia that
I do
exist.
Think that. I do think that's, I think, you know, when people say, you know, are they physical or are they not physical? I would say, well, actually, all of the above.
But they're here.
Yeah, some are. I'm sure they're within the Earth, operating within the frequency band of our frequency band, human frequency band. But I say that the real point of reference, the real point of control, is actually in this other dimension.
So why are they here
dimensions.
then? What's the point of being here, you think?
Well, I mean, they're not necessarily all involved in manipulation. I mean, just because something's reptilian doesn't mean it's evil in its own sense. In and of itself.
It makes sense, doesn't it? We've got humans that are good, we've got humans that are bad. We can only assume that if reptilians do exist, there are good ones and there are bad ones as well.
I'm just saying that this other dimensional level is, but I do think that they are interacting with the human quote elite and human science and all that stuff within these very deep DUMBs or deep underground military bases all around the world, which tend, I would say, from what I can gather, to open out into areas where these reptilians are.
The whole reptilian story is extremely interesting. David Icke would have been the first person that I heard the story through.
In a blood sacrifice, there are these sacraments that they would do where they drink blood and then they go into an altered state, and they use that altered state to do very interesting stuff like out-of-body travel, where they can, what they call time travel, they'll actually go backwards in time. They can do this psychically, occupy like a bum who's drunk and passed out in a haystack, get him to wake up and go kill somebody, and then the whole timeline you're on changes, and the only person who remembers the old timeline is the one who jumped into the bum. Everybody else on Earth is on a different timeline. And they played around with that a lot. It's one of the high-level disciplines of the Illuminati. So most people don't talk about that because it's so disturbing.
So this is like...
That is extremely disturbing. What are we talking about? Hold on, I'm lost. I'm actually lost. I have to hear that again. I'm extremely lost.
They'll actually go backwards in time. They can do this psychically, occupy like a bum who's drunk and passed out in a haystack, get him to wake up and go kill somebody, and then the whole timeline you're on changes, and the only person who remembers the old timeline is the one who jumped into the bum. Everybody else on Earth is on a different timeline. And they played around with that a lot. It's one of the high-level disciplines of the Illuminati. So most people don't...
That is extremely crazy. How do we, it's weird. It's weird. I guess this is like the Mandela effect, isn't it?
I'd be more interested in knowing how they made the, Barabar caves. I think that's maybe even more fascinating than pyramids. So they carved a cave inside this structure that's like a mirror finish. You can see yourself.
Whoa.
Look how shiny the walls are.
It's got to be aliens.
Well, it definitely doesn't look like I was chiseled.
That is insane. Look how perfect that text is.
Well, text, never mind text, how perfect the walls are. Consistent angles, consistent curvature.
230 BC this was carved out?
That's the inscription.
The inscription was 230 BC, which means the cave's much older.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, it just proves to a degree that we were so much more advanced at one stage. And maybe it wasn't even us. Maybe it wasn't us. Maybe it was the guys that seeded us and left us here to rot, set up a corrupt system where we're being governed by some guys that are drinking. Yeah, it's not looking good, is it? You know what? I think that's enough for one video. Plenty more of these to come. Don't go anywhere. What I need from you right now is to leave all your thoughts, all your comments, and all your opinions down below. Like literally spam the hell out of that comment section. I want to know every thought, every feeling, every opinion regarding everything that we've just watched. Like literally, don't hesitate. Get in there, make some friends, smash the like button, turn your notification bells on so you don't miss out on future videos. And as usual, I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one.